President Aquino spends his 53rd birthday with Philippine Orthopedic Center patients as he asks for more time to study an NBI report into the January 6 Atimonan, Quezon incident. The Office of Civil Defense begins construction of its first 3-in-1 facility to integrate disaster response operations. The Quezon City Police District checks security at malls. And the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization reports world food prices are stable. I'm Nancy Irlanda. This is Solar Nightly News. Good evening. On his 53rd birthday, President Aquino decided to pay a visit to 2 patients at the Philippine Orthopedic Center. Joyce Ilas tells us the story.
It is President Benigno Aquino's 53rd birthday today. Instead of receiving gifts, he started his day giving presents to those in need. At 10:30 in the morning, President Aquino arrived at the Philippine Orthopedic Center to see 2 patients. 15-year-old Jericho Raffles, who has been suffering from bone cancer since 2010, got his wish to personally meet the president. The boy's right leg was amputated to prevent the cancer from spreading. Raffles has been in hospital since January 2010, and he is currently undergoing chemotherapy. Raffles' mother Rachel says his son has already given up his fight against cancer and no longer wants to undergo treatment. But the boy's hope was rekindled when President Aquino himself asked him to fight and continue his treatments. Aquino also visited 47-year-old Mario Maniego. In October 1996, Maniego slipped in a gutter and landed on his back. His spinal cord hit several rocks. Maniego has been paralyzed for 16 years now, and he is dependent on his respirator. He was dumbfounded when he saw President Aquino. It was only when the president left that words came to him. His wife, Jesusa Maniego, says millions of pesos has been spent for her husband's respirator alone. The couple is also appealing to Aquino to stop the privatization of the Philippine Orthopedic Center, as Maniego cannot afford the costs in a private institution.
Opo. Opo. Bakit po? Bakit ayaw niyo po matuloy yung privatization po?
Siyempre, nakakakaba kasi nagpa-private, alalayasin ka din.
The Office of the Presidential Management Staff says Malacanang will pay for the patient's expenses. In the afternoon, Aquino had a full cabinet meeting to discuss economic matters. But it's hardly all work and no play. The rest of his birthday was spent in private.
Whatever the president's plans are, if he has any, I think he would appreciate also being given the privacy. So I will not ask.
President Aquino planned to have a quiet dinner with his family on his birthday. Meanwhile, netizens wish President Aquino a happy birthday via Twitter. Among them is former President Joseph Estrada, who wished the president divine guidance in leading the country. Joyce Ilas, Solar News.
Malacanang says President Aquino needs more time to study a National Bureau of Investigation report on the Atimonan shooting incident. Ina Andolong filed this report.
President Aquino met briefly with Justice Secretary Laila de Lima last night to discuss the National Bureau of Investigation's report on the Atimonan shooting incident, which left 13 people dead. Malacanang says it might take some time for the president to study the report in its entirety.
In the meantime, I would not comment on the specifics or the merits of that report until everyone has had a chance to review it. I hope you'll give us some time. Now, this was a long investigation. It's a complicated case. And it's better to fully digest all of the details before we begin to speak publicly about it.
The palace legal team is assisting the president in studying the much-anticipated report. De Lima says the president only had a few questions on the voluminous documents she turned over to him yesterday.
When I went there to the palace early evening to discuss with him another matter, I saw him reading already the report. Although sabi nga niya, ang kapal-kapal pala nito. You know, very, very voluminous. So, ewan ko kung matatapos na yun kahapon or kagabi. When I left, nag-break muna siya dun sa pagbasa niya ng report.
Hindi pa kayo nag-discuss sa content?
May konti siyang tinanong, but hindi pa nga tapos yung pagbasa niya ng report.
Presidential Communications Secretary Ricky Carandang assures the public the report will help the government bring justice to the shooting incident's victims, and for those guilty, they will be held liable for their actions.
As always, we expect the right thing to be done here. People will be held accountable if they're found liable. There will be the process that everybody will undergo to determine their guilt or innocence. So that's always been the case.
Malacanang is also awaiting the results of the Justice Department's ongoing investigation on how the report was leaked prior to its submission to the President. Carandang says it is important for them to find out what happened and who should take responsibility to prevent similar incidents in the future. De Lima says they are now in the process of identifying where the leak came from. She says those found guilty of releasing the report earlier than scheduled may face administrative sanctions ranging from suspension to dismissal. Ina Andalong, Solar News.
Presidential Communications Secretary Ricky Carandang says President Aquino will step up a campaign to warn voters against politicians pretending to be allies of the administration. He reiterated the president's appeal to support Liberal Party candidates. Carandang added a comfortable majority of the administration coalition in Congress will help ensure the passage of certain measures backed by the president. The latest Pulse Asia survey shows Senator Loren Legarda and Cheese Escudero maintaining their lead in the senatorial race in the May 2013 elections. Legarda garnered a rating of 58%. Escudero came in with 54.3%. Senator Alan Peter Cayetano came in third, followed by Nancy Binay and San Juan Representative J.V. Ejercito Estrada. Others who made it to the top 12 were Senators Antonio Trillanes IV, Coco Pimentel, and Gregorio Honasan, Congressman Jack Enrile, Cynthia Villar, Congressman Sonny Angara, and former Senator Miguel Zubiri. A former Commission on Elections commissioner and former consultant trade barbs over glitches in precinct count optical scan or PCOS machines. Here's Patricia Ongsiaco.
Former COMELEC Commissioner Gus Lagman says glitches of the precinct count optical scan machines, such as the rejection of ballots and errors in transmission, show the machines are defective. Lagman explains if some ballots are rejected in one PCOS machine but are refed and accepted in another, then the previous PCOS machine is defective. These defective PCOS machines, Lagman says, may cause trouble in the May elections.
These machines were in storage for 3 years. And I told them that, we will have problems with maintenance, we will have to warehouse them. If we buy the equipment, they become ours. You store electronic equipment for many years and you'll have problems because many of those parts would deteriorate because of non-use.
Lagman says the COMELEC may not be fit to manage the 2013 elections. As he says, IT experts are needed for this task.
You need a project manager, a system integrator, with technical people. They have not done that. And we're already, 3 months before elections. They did not bid out the project management. Why? I can't understand that.
The former commissioner says the credibility of COMELEC Chairman Sixto Brillantes is suspect. As the chairman insists, PCOS machines have minor negligible glitches. A former COMELEC Advisory Council member, Ramon Casiple, asserts it is impossible for PICO's machines to be perfect. Casiple says it is normal for the machines to encounter problems. What matters are the contingency plans of the COMELEC if and when these errors take place. He says as long as these glitches are not resolved, they will adversely affect the elections. He says the focus should not be on the single ballot that was rejected by the PICO's machine during the mock polls, but on how many ballots were successfully read by the machine. As for the random manual audit, Casiple says there will always be discrepancies between the count of the machine versus the audit. While the PICO's machine rejects ambiguous ballots, Casiple says those conducting the audit may count half-shaded ovals as a vote. He says manual polls should no longer be an option.
Tinanggap na ng tao yung automated. Ang kailangan mo na lang dito fine-tuning. Ibig sabihin yung mga glitches, mga errors, etc. Sige, anuhin natin yan. Patibayin natin yung kakayahan ng makina.
Patricia Ongsiaco, Solar News.
The Commission on Elections will appoint its own technical staff for the May 2013 elections. COMELEC Chairman Sixto Brillante says the Commission will manage all things concerning the elections, from troubleshooting of the precinct count optical scan or PICOS machines to the handling of all IT-related matters.
Noon, Smartmatic ang technical aspect. Ang COMELEC was more of the administrative. Ngayon, we take care of all. And therefore, we are now responsible for all. Noon, ang problema is, binigay namin, minomonitor lang natin yung Smartmatic. Yung mga tao namin nag-aaral, tinitingnan. Ngayon, alam na namin, kami na. COMELEC na.
Commission on Elections Chairman Sixto Brillantes denies the printing of ballots for the 2013 polls will be delayed. This despite reports saying ballot printing was temporarily put on hold yesterday. Although operations at the National Printing Office run 24 hours a day, Brillantes says the printers need to take breaks in between printing ballots from one province to another for maintenance. The chairman assures ballot printing will be completed by the end of March with a 3-week allowance until the April 25th deadline to address any errors that may arise. Over 1.4 million ballots for the provinces of North and South Cotabato, Sultan Kudarat, Sarangani, and Maguindanao have already been printed. The verification of ballots on precinct count optical scan machines will begin tomorrow.
Hindi ko alam, may maintenance, may kailangan ulitin, meron shared din na bagong testing. May mga reasons ko. Kasi nag-uumpisa pa lang naman yan. Wala akong alam na major problem. Sabi nila, kailangan lang na itigil. Hindi naman pwedeng tuloy-tuloy yan. Nagsishifting yata yan from one province to another. Tapos meron mga sinasabing isi-shade ngayon para i-test ulit.
The Philippine National Police says it has confiscated over 500 firearms since the gun ban took effect on January 13. The PNP also seized 20 grenades, 156 other explosives, and 168 bladed or pointed weapons. This has resulted in the arrest of over 600 individuals, 570 of which were civilians, 10 government employees, 11 were police officials, and 2 were soldiers. One personnel from the Bureau of Fire Protection was also arrested, as well as 41 security guards.